Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the Truth Talk podcast. I'm joined again by my wife Dee.
Hi everybody, I hope you guys had a great weekend.
Now let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about was the new Netflix show, Inside Job. I've seen a lot of you DMing me about this show, asking me to check it out, and also commenting under my videos for me to watch this show and to give my opinion. And I watched the show, and honestly, I see everything you guys are talking about. My problem with shows like this is that I feel like they make them to make fun of truthers, people that seek the truth. By them adding all this crazy conspiracies in there and nonsense, they can actually hide the truth by confusing people and discrediting those who actually speak the truth. What I found out about the writer of this show, his name is Alex Heischer or Hirsch. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. He's the writer of the show, and what I've learned about him is that he's also the writer of Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls actually is based on Freemasonry. One of the main characters, the uncle, he happens to be based on the Shriners of Freemasonry. So I believe that Alex is definitely a Freemason, and he's working with the Freemasons to discredit people that actually spread the truth. Using this show, they're trying to make fun of the possible truth by throwing in a bunch of wacky conspiracies, a bunch of wacky, craziness that can't really be proven with facts. And that's what they want to represent people who seek the truth as. People who just make things up and don't truly have facts so that they could discredit all of them. And that's what I feel like these shows are made for. See, Gravity Falls was more of a Masonic show because they wanted to introduce their audience, their young audience, to Freemasonic symbols at an early age. That's why these people produce these type of shows, because they want to introduce their very young audience to Freemasonic symbols as soon as they can. This way, as they grow older, they're not scared off by these symbols, but instead they're intrigued and they want to find out more about them because they've already been seeing them for so long. You've seen the show, Dee. What do you think about the show?
It's an interesting show. I do have to agree with you. I do think that in a way they're using this show to laugh in our faces. It's just like a big slap in the face to people who go looking for the truth. It's like trying to make us seem like we're crazy. So to the outside world, when we try to, help people uncover their eyes, it makes us look crazy to them. So they don't even want to believe us. So it keeps them in line with what the government wants. And it keeps us where the government also wants in the quote-unquote conspiracy bubble. We're pushed in a corner by ourselves. They've been doing this for a while, and the first time I noticed was in their kids show, Gravity Falls. They did the same thing in there, laughing in our faces.
People would think that these shows are all based on comedy or all good and wholesome fun. But the thing is that the character in the show Gravity Falls, he is really a Freemason. They depict him as a Freemason. They even designed his clothing based on the Shriners, the Freemason Shriners, who for some reason have an obsession with children. In my opinion, I see all of this and I realize what this is. This was created to throw people off and to discredit truthers. They want people to look at this and say, oh my God, this is all craziness, and think it's all jokes and fun. But the symbols and the things are real that they're showing, especially in Gravity Falls. Inside Job, it's really just them, like you said, laughing at us and making people that really speak the truth with facts, with proven facts, making us look like we're just a bunch of BS. We don't really know what we're talking about and we're just nonsense. But in reality, we're speaking the truth. These are Freemasons. Why are they making these shows with Freemason symbols for children? Why are children having to watch this? What's the purpose of it? If I'm the crazy one and I'm a conspiracy theorist, why are you guys dressed like you guys are wizards in the middle of the woods doing all types of weird rituals? I think you're the one that seems more crazy than me, who points out that there's been presidents, there's been senators, there's been kings, all types of rulers that have given their souls to the Freemasons. So in my opinion, they're just making these shows to clearly throw people off, to point a finger at us and call us crazy, make fun of us like they always do, put their aluminum hats on, because that's what they love to do. They love to discredit the truth. They have done it their entire lives. This is how they hide in the shadows. This is how they keep people controlled by the agenda. I honestly don't like these shows because, like I said, people would watch this show. The average person who doesn't know much of the truth and only hears about conspiracies, they're going to go, oh, look at all these crazy conspiracy nuts. They know nothing. Look at all this stuff they make up. And that's the thing. We have to be able to differentiate from fact and fiction. And there's a lot of stuff that's been proven in fact, like our presidents. Many of our presidents have been Freemasons. 13 people that signed the Constitution were also Freemasons. How could it be a conspiracy if it's already proven that the people that run this world are truly Freemasons? The ones that came over here from Europe were also Freemasons. In my opinion, it's clear. And these shows just want to throw people off of that track. Because more and more people are finally starting to see the truth. More and more people are being aware of what's truly going on. And they know this. They're not stupid. They just know that they have more people manipulated than people that are actually finding the truth. They know that they control the majority of the people. So what we say at the end of the day truly falls on dead ears because they have most of the people listening to them. Most of the people looking at us like we're the crazy ones. And that's really the problem that these shows create. That's really why they create these shows. And in my opinion, that's why they have people like Alex Jones. I feel like at some points said some truths, but then at other points he was just saying anything to make money and also was probably bought out by these men. So he would be able to spread false information and confuse a lot of people. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about the recent OTF incident. One of Little Durk's artists, his name is Duty Low. He's accused of some very, very, very messed up things. I don't want to say it because of the community guidelines and I don't want to have any troubles with YouTube. But I've put up an article so you guys can see he's accused of doing something messed up to his ex-girlfriend's child. It's really sick what he did. And I heard the audio. It made me feel messed up. Like it's really sad. Unfortunately, if this truly happened, this man needs to be put away. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because like I said, these artists be into some sick things and they're known for doing things with these children that, that shouldn't be done. And I feel like that's what happened in this situation here. I'm pretty sure, I don't see why the mom would make something up. He's trying to defend himself and say that she's just making these rumors up because she's upset that he left her. But, that's a little too far. I wouldn't see why she would have to do such a thing. I understand some women have been known in the past for doing things, but why bring your child into it, I don't see why she would bring her child into it, where she could have just said that he did something to her instead of to the child, So I feel like, the fact that he already got a lawyer and he lawyered up and all this proves that there's something there, in my opinion. What do you think, Dee? What do you think about the situation?
This situation brings knots to my stomach. I don't know personally who to believe because I am in no place to judge anybody without knowing facts. If he did this, he probably most likely was trying to follow the crafts of Aleister Crowley because, they believe doing such things brings them riches and fame. In today's society, that's what a lot of people go looking for. If it just so happens to be that the woman lied on him, unfortunately, which is not rare because we do have petty women out here who have gone to lengths such as bringing their kids into their problems.
But you think that they would do that in that manner? Because she could face some serious criminal charges if she's proven to be lying. You don't think that more commonly women would just say that the incident was done to themselves? For example, what I'm trying to say is like the woman will say, he did something to me. Why would she bring her child into it? Because, that's something hard. Like, it's hard to deny as well. Like, there's proof. If this actually happened, they would take him to the doctor and they would check him out and there would be proof. I don't see why she would lie about such a thing. I see what you're saying. There is, women that do this. So you would think that some women would be capable of doing such a thing like this?
With as sad as it is, yes. Especially now in these days. She was a woman who was connected to a man who is connected to people who have money and fame. And for a person to lose that on the spot and to go back to having nothing, that can be hard on somebody. And who knows what her situation is. I'm not saying that, she had her son trained to say this because that's horrible. He has to live knowing that these are the words that he said out of his mouth, that his mom planted this in his head. But I also don't want to believe that happened to him because I have a child myself who is very close in age with this child. So
no, I see what you're saying. And in my opinion, it's messed up. I hope that she is not lying because that'll be messed up. But I also wish that it never happened. If it did happen, and we know things like this do happen, especially within that hip hop world. Also, I don't think Little Durk has even responded to the situation at all. Like, I don't think he's said anything about it, which I also find kind of weird. If one of my artists on my record label is being accused of something like that, whether true or false, I'm making a statement. I'm getting ahead of it. I'm either disassociating myself or trying to, say that he didn't do anything. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with this situation. In my opinion, I don't feel like she would lie about something so heinous like that. Why would she involve her child? I understand women, like you said, they lie all the time on themselves. Oh, he did something to me or, and I don't see why she would involve a child because, like I said, they can examine this child for proof. They can talk to this child alone. It's easier to get a child to speak the truth than it is, to get an adult to speak the truth. So in my opinion, I don't see why she would make this up. We're just not going to have to wait and see. They both lawyered up. They're not going to be doing much talking until the legal situation starts to happen. So we're just going to have to be patient and see. The next thing I want to talk about is an artist named K Flock. He's actually an upcoming artist from New York, from the Bronx, and he's a drill artist. In the last few months, there's been lives as young as 13 years old being lost to street violence and crime that's literally been fueled by his music. They're committing these crimes. He's then making a song about it, and the song is getting millions of views and people are hyping it up. And then the other side is retaliating and they're making a song about it. There's maybe thousands, probably even millions of artists in New York City who I can assure you are very talented and they're great and they have a great work ethic, but the record labels won't sign them or give them the attention or help them get anywhere. But they'll go to this artist K Flock, who they know is spreading destruction, who is known for right now being the leader of one of the worst gangs in New York, in the Bronx, spreading so much destruction that kids aren't even being able to go to school. There's a lot of these incidents that are literally going on with 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds losing their lives, and it's insane. Even these things happening by schools, and he keeps on rapping about it, and they keep on praising him. And it's what's creating this problem. It's what's fueling this problem. The record labels know this. They jumped right on it because that's what they represent. That's the agenda that they like to push. That's what I want you guys to see. There's so many artists out there, so many, but I promise you in a few more months, you guys are all going to be hearing about K Flock if you haven't already. He's going to be the next big thing because this is what the record labels like to promote. They like that he's really living that type of lifestyle. He is promoting it. In the Bronx, kids really live that way. You know, and I'm telling you this, I lived there basically most of my life. I just moved about a year ago. Before what happened in 2020, before those times came in, things were actually a lot calmer. You know, the drill scene was starting to emerge in the city. It was starting to get more popular. So things started to get a little hot. But then what happened in 2020, a lot of kids started getting unemployment. A lot of people were getting their hands on money that they'd never gotten, they'd never had money before. And when you give money to kids in these streets without any sense of direction, whether it be a few $100s or whatever it is, 1,000, these kids, they don't do the right thing with this money. They go and they buy these weapons, they arm themselves, and they start committing crimes in the street, so they can make money, so that they can live that rapper lifestyle that they hear these other rappers talking about. And that's what's happening in New York. Everybody in New York, all the kids in New York, they got their hands on a firearm now. Because they got all that money, they were able to buy these things. They were able to buy cars and scooters to go do these type of crimes that they weren't doing before. And now that the music is getting more and more popular, the drill music is truly taking over. These kids are flocking to that scene and they're willing to do anything to make it as a rapper, like I've said before. So this is just another obstacle that they have to do in order to make it. What do you think about this scene? I know you've seen the news lately and you've seen a lot of these kids, how they've been going out, and it truly makes me sad being from there.
It's really sad. I can remember even before all of these recent incidents, the first one that really affected me while living in New York was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, with what happened to Junior and him being so young. I am the oldest of 5. 2 of my siblings, the youngest, both being boys. One of them 19, the other 11. So they're both in the age groups of these kids that are over there. It scares me for, everybody's well-being, especially my family that still lives over there in New York. I pray for them every day because these kids are trying to live a lifestyle that they're seeing glamorized on TV. They're getting a hold of all of these weapons at ridiculously young ages. I cannot even imagine, literally now when you walk the streets of New York, you have to think when you're passing a child now, is that child carrying something? Is that child going to start a problem with somebody? Am I safe? And we're grown and we're fearing because children are trying to live a lifestyle. They're trying to act tough. They're trying to be what they see as cool. And I find it sick, disgusting that the record labels are okay with this and that they continue to push this. They see this kid's name all in the papers. Everybody knows that all this stuff connects back to this kid. And they still choose to pick that kid to rise up and so he can spread the messages. It's ridiculous.
You see, New York was always a place where you had to, stay on your toes. Like I grew up in New York. I've had so much things happen to me where I grew up, always looking around, making sure nothing was wrong. But I'm not going to lie. it started to calm down and things started to get better because there was so many job opportunities. Kids could get a bike and do Uber Eats and make money, you know? Kids always wanted to be rappers. So when the drill scene started to really become popular, these kids now, like you said, they're willing to do anything. And everything that they do that results to crime is just like earning a stripe for them. It's something that they could, it's like more material for them. So why not? And you're right. Now we have to look at these children and hope that they're not going to use us as one of their lyrics, And that's sad. It's truly sad because they don't know what they're truly getting themselves into. These are going to be the same kids that commit the crimes, do the time, and then are speaking about prison reform, are speaking about we have to keep the streets safe, instead of just not participating in it to begin with. Instead of not, being part of the problem to then offer a solution when you already caused so much damage and caused so much pain. We need to fix the problem now before you do those things. We need to get ahead of that problem. The next thing I wanted to talk about was, I'm pretty sure you guys know who Alpo is. He was a big-time gangster. He used to run the streets of Harlem, and he was a drug kingpin back in the 80s and the early 90s. He was arrested in the 90s for a bunch of crimes, and he was recently just released. He was released early because he decided to snitch on a bunch of his co-defendants and a bunch of people that, he had worked with. And yesterday, he was in Harlem, New York, actually very close to where I used to live, right across the bridge from the Bronx. He was actually rammed by a car, and then a drive-by happened, and he was actually struck, and sadly, he lost his life at the scene. This ties into what I'm going to speak about in a little bit, the song Dance with the Devil with Immortal Technique. This is exactly what this is. This is a dance with the devil, and people swear that they could beat the devil once they dance with him. The only way you could beat the devil is with God. Once you're battling the devil, it's already too late for you. There's no escape. Alpo thought he might have escaped. He thought he might have beat all the odds. Yeah, he did some prison time, but for what he did, he didn't do the time that he was supposed to. He thought he beat the devil. He thought he got away free. He thought he was going to start a new life and everything was going to be perfect. But that's not how this works. Once you're in that life, you're going to pay for it one way or another. You can see this countless times with all these big mafia bosses and all these big drug lords. Most of them are arrested now or aren't no longer living. Alpo might have felt at one point that he was on top of the world, especially seeing movies, the Paid in Full movie. He plays a big part in that movie, and he's actually one of the most famous people from that movie. Cameron portrayed them in that movie. To him, he might have seen all this situation, and he probably thought he got away scot-free. He escaped with his life. He lives, he's famous now. He probably has money from situations, He probably thought that he made it free. But that's the thing. Once you in them streets, the devil owns those streets, and he's going to come to collect. He's going to come get it whenever he can. That's a tragic situation. I feel bad for his family. I hope that he found forgiveness, and I hope that the situation in these streets improve, and I hope more children and more people aren't losing their lives to this nonsense. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the song Dance with the Devil, made by Immortal Technique. In my Mac Miller video, I told you guys I would make a full video about it. But I'm thinking I'll just make a full video of Immortal Technique, and I'll just give you my thoughts on the song, and then I'll make a video on Immortal Technique at a further time. The song, in my opinion, it's the perfect example of trading your soul for money and greed. It's the perfect example of selling your soul to the devil without you really even realizing that you're selling your soul. Immortal Technique writes the story as the perspective of someone who was at the event of this story. He speaks about this one guy who wanted to be basically a kingpin, who wanted to make it to the top, was willing to do anything to be seen by the world and be loved by the world and be loved by everybody around him and gain everybody's respect. That he would do, he would try to prove everybody that he was tougher than everybody and he was better than everybody. He eventually met up with these guys who made him do something, who made him perform a sacrifice to get to where he wants to be. When he committed that sacrifice, it was too much for him to bear. He ended up sacrificing his own mother. And once he does this, it's too much for him to bear, so he sacrifices himself. In the song, Immortal Technique explains the price of fame, the price of wealth, of being rich, of being the boss, of being the one, sometimes comes at the price of selling your soul. Sometimes you have to go against your morals and choose that path, and once you do, there's no turning back. You're dancing with the devil. And once you're dancing with the devil, in his own words, a dance with the devil can last you forever. And honestly, this is very true. In your opinion, in your mind, you're doing what you think is going to benefit you and your family. But at the end of the day, you have to think about others. You have to think about the people that your actions are going to affect. Whether it be selling drugs, whether it be drilling like K Flock, and them. And yeah, they're getting famous now at the cost of how many lives? at the cost of how much destruction that they are spreading. These kids are 13 years old and things are happening to them. They wanted to take that path in life. They wanted to sell their soul. They were willing to do anything to make it to the top of the industry. And that's exactly what this song, which I recommend everybody listen to. This song opened my eyes. What are your thoughts on this song? Because I showed you this song before.
I personally think this song is really mind-blowing. I've never had a song paint such a vivid picture in my mind. It really made me feel uncomfortable. But at the end of it, if you look at the big picture, it's just, it's letting you know. With everything that you do, there's going to be consequences. If you want to go on the other side and join the devil, there's going to be sacrifices. And those sacrifices they're not up to you. It's whatever he wants. It's really a battle between yourself, your self-morals, or allowing what you want, like fame and money. It's a battle between the both of them. You either decide the good, or you end up reaping what you sow.
That song is, like I said, I recommend everybody check that song out. It does, like you said, it paints such a clear picture. Like, while you're listening to it, the music video doesn't even really show anything. Him's just those lines and the way he put them together, it projects it. And like you see it like it's happening and right in your face. And you could like put yourself in his shoes and you see. And to me, that was one of the first songs that as a child, I heard this song very young. My brother showed it to me. Ever since then, I always questioned and I feared the song. I was almost afraid of this song because it scared me, the thought that people would do this for success. And growing up in the area, as I aged, as I got older, I personally seen firsthand people change in front of my face. People become monsters trying to chase their dreams, trying to chase being able to be successful, because all of us want to be successful. Every single person, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want to be successful. The thing is that some people are willing to do more than others for that success. Some people are willing to cross the line and go too far to the point where they can't turn back. They're willing to dance with the devil and they're willing to damn their souls for eternity. This just happens to be the situation that's going on with a lot of people currently, that they don't even realize that they're selling their souls. They don't even realize that they're turning to evil because the music is just manipulating them into doing it. The music is painting it as a beautiful, glorious, productive life that just produces money and produces fame and makes people envy them. And that's what people want. At the end of the day, most people are egotistical and they want to feel like gods. They want to feel the praise of others. They want to feel like they're more important than others because it makes them feel something, and also has some things to do with their insecurities, because a lot of people feel like they mean nothing. They have no purpose, and if the world saw them and if they would do anything to make it, then they'll have purpose. And that's where I think the problem lays. A lot of these children need direction. Not everybody is meant to be a rapper. Most people that want to be rappers, they just want to be rappers because they don't know what they truly want to do yet. And they just see that everybody else wants to do this, and they see how cool people receive them, and they see how much of a good energy it gives off when you're on stage and people are praising you and, showing you love. There's a way to make it up there without having to do all the messed up things that these other rappers did. Because if you just take a few minutes and pay attention to how all these rappers end, look at Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty was in the game for maybe a few months before he got himself arrested for living what he's rapping about, for being about that life. And like I said, they love signing these artists that really live that life because they don't care if you're arrested or not. They're still making money off the records you got out. And it's most likely you recorded a few records. When they want you out of there, they'll start putting the pressure to get you out. Pooh Shiesty, they're saying that he's going to take a plea deal and he's going to most likely do like 10 years. This is for someone who just got in the game, someone who just got the opportunity to be able to feed his family, to fix the situation. He messed it up because of the decisions that he made to get there, the dirt that he was willing to do to get there, the evilness that he was willing to do to get there. And at the end of the day, people choose to do these things without even realizing what's the true cost. He probably didn't realize when he was doing his incident that got him arrested that he was going to end up facing 10 years. He probably just thought this is another day in his life. And that's the situation. That's the problem, that these kids are just being manipulated to blindly continue the same cycle of violence. And they all end up in the same position, either gone or in prison. Now, let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about is NBA YoungBoy being released. I heard his conditions on his release. I feel like there's something way off about this and weird. They were saying that he wasn't going to be released not too long ago. Then, surprisingly, here we go. He just magically ends up released with 1,000 conditions. He can't travel nowhere without notifying. He can't have guests in his house. He could only have 2 friends over. They have to be also registered with his parole. He has a 9 o'clock curfew. You know, it's a bunch of things that you start thinking, why do they want him out? It seems like they're trying to control him and they're trying to keep him in check. For that, just keep him in prison. But honestly, I feel like this is where the changes happen, like the same changes that happened with Kodak Black. The same changes that happened to Gucci Mane. They work something out with these artists, or something ends up happening to these artists where the record label or whoever it is has more control over these artists and are able to manipulate them more. Because youngboy is one of those few artists that he doesn't really spread a good message or anything, but he's not controlled. He's usually, does as he please. He doesn't even rely on radio. He doesn't rely on the media. He just, uses his YouTube channel to promote his music. I feel like this might be a way of them trying to gain control over him and them to be able to find a way to keep him in line, because like I said, he's one of those few artists that doesn't really care, who makes his own money, who has ways of, he releases a song and he has a YouTube audience that will, consume all his music and actually make him money. So, I find it odd that they released him on all these circumstances. They should just left him in prison if they were going to, do all this. So it makes me feel, why do they want him out? Why do they feel like they need him to perform or do whatever? And in my opinion, it could just be they can have a better way to manipulate him, a better way to control his music, what he does, his actions. What do you think, Dee? Do you find it suspicious in being released?
Of course. I feel like they just need him out there still to push that agenda, and he needs to be seen and he needs to be out there in the public eye so he can do so. Within the jail or the prison that he was in, he can't be seen, he can't be on live, he can't be performing. I feel like cases like youngboy, Kodak Black, Gucci Mane, those are artists who, like you said, they can't really control, but yet they're under their labels, but they can't control them. They're still out there living, doing what they want to do, acting crazy. So I feel like they put them in prison, and they might do like MK Ultra on them, so then they can have, the influence that they want to have on them, make them listen to them, so then they can put them back out there so they can continue pushing the messed up agenda that they're pushing. Because obviously, like we were talking about the K Flocka kid, they don't care. Their whole purpose is to send the wrong messages to these children. Youngboy is a really popular artist amongst these kids. So if they take him out, these kids are not getting the message that they want to be heard.
What you said made me think about a comment that someone made under my video. They said that, not to get it twisted, that these record labels only promote this message because it's what sells. Honestly, that's the dumbest thing I've heard. Record labels dictate what sells. Record labels dictate what they want to push and what they want to make look cool. They're the ones that set the lines. They've always have chosen destruction as their image. Always. Just look at rock and roll. Look at all big artists, Elvis, all the big artists that have existed in the past. Most of them have had a chaotic image to them, have had a bad boy image to them, because that's what the record labels want to push. The difference is most of the owners of the record labels don't live in urban communities, don't live in the ghettos. So they target these ghettos with artists that are going to promote devastating and dangerous lifestyles to their audience, to their fans. It's not the same that they promote within, pop music and rock music that they know is going to be consumed by more people that live around them. So in the music industry, they know exactly who they're targeting. They're targeting minorities and they're targeting low-income communities because they know that these are the people that they never have to encounter. So yeah, who cares if they're all destroying themselves and where they live is terrible? They're producing money, they're spreading the agenda, they're depopulating the world, and that's exactly how they want it. That's their goal. That's what the new Masonic world is, a world that's controlled by them. And that's pretty much it for this podcast, guys. Please make sure you guys leave comments on what you guys want to see next week. I hope you guys have a good afternoon. Thank you all for watching.
Bye, you guys. I hope you guys have a great week.
And I'll see you guys next episode. Thank you for watching this episode of The Truth Is. If you would like to further support the channel, join me on Patreon. The link would be in the description. If you join before the 28th of this month, you could be entered to this month's monthly raffle, where you can win a shirt, a cash prize, and even pick a video topic. Also, please leave a comment below on your thoughts on this video and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you like this video, please hit the like button, as this helps other people find these videos. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. Please follow me on Instagram at TheTruthIs01 and on TikTok at TheTruthIs. I will gladly appreciate it. Thank you. Goodbye.